Welcome back, friends, to the Walnut and the Oak Children's Storytelling Podcast. I'm Grandpa Banjo Bill, and this here is my trusty little cat, Potato. Potato and I are just tickled pink to be back with you for Season 2. We are so excited that so many friends have been listening from all around the world. Isn't that something? That's right, Potato. He says, as soon as we heard the golden storybook start to glow, we headed straight down to the Walnut and the Oak, and now here we are, ready and waiting for you. We hope you're just as excited as we are. Shall we see what's inside? All right, boy, let's open it up. Today's story is called Lemon Likes to Listen, a story about belonging and how it can look different for everyone. Oh, Potato thinks this one sounds like a good story. I agree, Potato. Sounds like Lemon might be trying to figure out where she belongs. I have a feeling she's strong enough to work that out. Shall we read and find out what little lessons Lemon discovers along the way? All right. Potato says yes. Lemon liked listening more than talking. She liked watching light move across the floor. She liked hearing how paper sounded when you folded it slowly. She liked to draw butterflies with wings so wide they looked like they might fly away. She liked to draw beetles that sparkled like jewels and birds so round they looked like little puffballs. Lemon noticed things. She noticed how sunlight made shapes on the floor. She noticed dust floating in the air like tiny dancers. She noticed when the room felt softer, when everyone was quiet. Lemon went to school each day with her shoes tied just right and her lunch packed carefully in her bag. She sat near the window when she could. That's where her drawings felt the most alive. But Lemon didn't raise her hand in class. Even when she knew the answer, her heart would race. If too many eyes turned her way, the words would scatter and hide in corners of her mind. So Lemon stayed quiet and watched and listened. At recess, Lemon stood near the edge. She liked to know where things were before she stepped in, and most days she didn't step in at all. Not because she didn't want to, but because the noise and movement made her feel like she would get lost. Some kids noticed Lemon standing alone. She never talks, one said. She must think she's too cool for us, said another. Lemon heard it, but she didn't turn around. Too many eyes still made her chest feel tight. But Lemon was kind to everyone. She never joined in gossip with the other kids because she knew how it felt when people made assumptions about her that weren't true. And if Lemon didn't know something was true about someone, she would rather not talk about it at all. At lunch, Lemon sat on the same bench she always chose. She peeled her orange carefully so the skin came off in one long piece. Nearby, other kids sat in groups, chatting and laughing. Lemon listened closely. She wished she could join in, but instead she answered their questions quietly in her head. She had so much to say, it just didn't come out the way other kids' words did. After lunch, Lemon sat on the grass and drew. She traced butterflies in the dirt with a stick. She added little antennae and extra spots on their wings. She drew beetles shaped like jewels and birds round as apples. That was when Ziggy came over. Lemon had a friend named Ziggy and another friend named Fig. It had taken a long time for the three girls to become friends. At first, Lemon only watched them from a distance. One day, Ziggy and Fig sat beside Lemon and asked what she was drawing. Lemon hesitated, then turned her page around. "That's amazing," Ziggy said. "Why is that bird so round?" Fig asked. "Because it's cold," Lemon said quietly. "They puff up." And that's how it started. With Ziggy and Fig, Lemon felt different. Lighter, sillier, steadier. But sometimes Ziggy and Fig ran off to play with others, and Lemon stayed behind, drawing. That's when she noticed Hazel. Hazel was cool, confident. She loved insects just like Lemon did. The two of them had something rare in common: mantises. Hazel had a pink orchid mantis at home, one that looked just like a flower. She was telling the other kids all about it, and they gasped in awe. Lemon wanted to say she had a mantis, too, not the same kind, but just as special. An African flower mantis, with wings like petals and colors that melted into the leaves, camouflaging it perfectly. Lemon loved her mantis because it was bright and beautiful and completely unique. But it could still blend in whenever it wanted to. It was soft and still, content to sit quietly, watching, waiting. But when it felt like it, when it chose to, it could open its wings wide and show a sudden flash of color as bold and striking as anything. It decided when to be seen and when to just watch. Lemon admired her mantis for that. And if she was being honest with herself, she wanted that too. To just sit and listen and have that be enough. To spread her wings when she felt like it and not when she didn't. Sometimes she wished she were an African flower mantis too. Hazel was still talking to the other kids, telling them all about her orchid mantis, sharing cool facts. Lemon listened. She wanted to join in, to say, "I love bugs too." But she didn't know how to speak without being invited in. Then someone noticed her standing nearby. They whispered, "Lemon's so boring." "She doesn't like us." Lemon's heart ached. "No," she thought, "that's not true at all." She wanted to say, "I'm listening, I care, I just don't know how to step in." But the words stayed stuck, trapped like a knot in her throat. So she turned and walked away. Ziggy overheard what the kids were saying about Lemon, so she stepped in. "She's not boring," Ziggy said. "She just likes to think first." Fig joined in. Lemon can be really silly when she wants to be. Hazel frowned. She didn't like what the other kids had said, because to her, Lemon didn't seem boring at all. "I think Lemon seems really nice, actually," Hazel said softly. Lemon was grateful for Ziggy and Fig. They always showed up for her in their own silly, solid ways. But it was Hazel's words that stayed with her, soft and unexpected, like sunlight on a quiet day. That night, she sat at the table with her sketchbook and made stickers from her drawings, tiny chipmunks, wide-winged butterflies, a mantis with petal-shaped wings. "These are for Hazel," she thought. The next day, she carried them in her pocket. She tried to walk over once, then again. She had tried 3 times that morning to walk over to Hazel. Each time she got close, her courage slipped away, and she turned back again. From across the yard, Hazel noticed. She noticed Lemon stepping forward, then stopping. She noticed the small turn of Lemon's shoes and the careful retreat. Hazel didn't call out. She didn't wave. She simply walked over and sat beside her. "Hi, Lemon," Hazel said softly. "How are you today?" Lemon looked up, surprised. No one else was looking. The world felt quiet. "Hi," Lemon answered. Her voice was small, but it stayed. They sat for a moment, watching an ant carry something far too big for its body. Then Hazel smiled. "I heard you like mantises." Lemon's eyes brightened. "I do," she said. "I have one that looks like a flower." "Me too," said Hazel. "Mine's an orchid mantis. Her name is Mrs. Twiggy Buns." Lemon smiled and gave a little giggle. "That's a funny name. I like it." "Mine is an African flower mantis," said Lemon. "Her name is Petalwig. And I have a ghost mantis named Ghost. He looks like a tiny leaf." "They don't live together," Lemon added quickly. "Petalwig might eat him, and then he'd be a real ghost." Hazel covered her mouth. Then she giggled. Lemon giggled too. Hazel's eyes widened with delight. "That is so cool." Lemon reached into her pocket and pulled out a small stack of stickers. Butterflies with wide wings, round birds perched on branches, a tiny mantis shaped like a blossom. "I made these," Lemon said. Hazel held them carefully, as if they were something precious. "They're beautiful." She peeled one and pressed it onto her water bottle, then another. "I'm putting them here so I can see them every day," she said. Lemon felt something warm settle in her chest. Not loud, not bursting, just warm and steady, like sunshine through a window. And for the first time that day, Lemon didn't feel like walking away. Hazel was glad she got to know Lemon. She learned that being quiet didn't mean being distant. It just meant being different. And different could be wonderful. From that day forward, Lemon, Ziggy, Fig, and Hazel were friends. They didn't have everything in common, but they didn't need to. Some liked to run together, some didn't. Some liked to draw together, some didn't. Some liked to talk a lot. But the things they shared were extra special, like their love for goofy pet names and the way they cheered each other on. They didn't try to match, they didn't compete, and they never tried to change each other. They made space for loud and quiet, for fast and slow, for all the different ways a person can be. They stayed friends, not by being the same, but by being themselves. And Lemon? She got to blend in when she needed to, stand out when she wanted to, and open her wings on her own time. And every time she did, everyone noticed just how beautiful she really was. The end. Well now, that was a gentle little story, wasn't it? Lemon didn't need to change who she was. She just needed people who could see her clearly. Some children are loud like fireworks. Some are quiet like moonlight. Both shine in their own beautiful way. Not everyone joins in the same way, and that's all right. Isn't that right, Potato? I thought so. And sometimes the quiet ones aren't really quiet at all. They just like to listen first. Well, friends, thank you for sitting with us and sharing this story. Join us next time for another tale, another little adventure, and maybe a few more quiet wonders. Until then, be kind, be gentle, and take good care of each other. Bye for now.